My grandfather Alf had joined West Ham Fire Brigade as a 20-year-old in 1922. In 1936, just before he married my grandmother, he won a bravery award for rescuing 2 children from a house fire in Portway, West Ham. And this certificate, which was signed by the mayor and was framed, was actually donated to the London Fire Brigade Museum by my parents after my grandfather's death. My mother had been born in September 1939, just at the outbreak of the Second World War, and she didn't see her father for the first 5 years of her life because he was continuously on duty, looking after his men, fighting fires during the Blitz in the City of London and in West Ham and around the Royal Docks, which were hit most badly by the bombing during the first Blitz raids. He would get very little sleep. He would often sleep at the station. If he did come home, all he would want to do was sleep, and they would have to eat at the fire station and stay there. So that's why my mum never saw him. And one night my grandfather got the call that he was dreading. A call came through that a bomb had dropped in Tennyson Avenue in West Ham, and he knew that was the road where his Uncle Charlie and his Auntie Alice lived. So my grandfather and his men raced through the streets in a fire engine to Tennyson Road, where they found that his uncle's house had taken a direct hit with a bomb. His uncle was actually fire watching that night, and he had the rest of the family had been in the air raid shelter, but unfortunately Uncle Charlie didn't make it, and my granddad had to recover his uncle's dead body from the rubble, which was one of the most saddest and heartbreaking stories that my grandfather told us about his time as a firefighter. And while my mum and my grandmother were at home having to deal with rationing on the home front and going to the Anderson shelters in the evening, my grandfather was out fighting fires and saving lives in the East End of London. In 1944, my grandfather was sent on a training course where he had to carry a heavy man on his back down a ladder from a training tower, and unfortunately his foot slipped and he fell off the ladder, and the man he was carrying landed on top of him, and he sustained a serious injury to his spine. Unfortunately, they then said that he could only do desk duties, so he was no longer able to be on active service, and this was something he hated, and as a direct result of that he obtained a discharge on medical grounds from the fire brigade. And in part 3 I will tell you more of his story.